In the aftermath of the RMS Lusitania's sinking by a German U-boat in May 1915, Lieutenant Commander Godfrey Herbert, captain of HMS Baralong, a 310-foot Royal Navy Q-ship, was summoned at Queenstown, Ireland. Two officers from the Admiralty Secret Service arrived with a chilling message. They told him quietly, "This Lusitania affair is an outrage. Unofficially, take no prisoners from U-boats." Accounts from his own officers reveal Herbert's reckless and undisciplined command. He tolerated rowdy drunken sprees whenever his men went ashore. At Dartmouth, one such binge ended with several Baralong crewmen arrested for wrecking a local pub, yet Herbert paid their bail and sailed away with them the next morning. By April 1915, he had even ordered his subordinates to stop calling him Sir, demanding instead that they address him by his chosen alias, Captain William McBride. Through the long summer of 1915, HMS Baralong prowled the gray waters of the Irish Sea, her crew restless and eager, yet no enemy ever appeared on the horizon. On the 19th of August 1915, the German submarine U-24 torpedoed the White Star liner SS Arabic, sending 44 souls to their deaths, including 3 Americans. The sinking ignited a storm of outrage between Germany and the United States, and aboard the Baralong, fury burned hot among her crew. Meanwhile, some 70 nautical miles south of Queenstown, the German U-boat U-27, under Kapitän-Leutnant Bernd Wegener, halted the British steamer Nicotian with a warning shot, observing cruiser rules. The vessel carried 354 American mules bound for the British Army in France. The Germans permitted the crew and passengers to take to the lifeboats, then readied their deck gun to finish the freighter. But Nicotian's frantic SOS calls still crackled through the air as Baralong raced to the scene, signals suggesting that some of her crew remained aboard while U-27 opened fire. Conflicting accounts persist. Some insist all had fled, others claim the ship still lived. The messages also wrongly warned that a second U-boat lurked nearby. U-27 lay off Nicotian's port quarter, hammering her with shell fire, when Baralong burst onto the scene, her mast proudly bearing the stars and stripes in deceit. At half a mile's range, she hoisted a signal claiming intent to rescue Nicotian's crew. Wegener accepted the ruse, ordering his gunners to hold fire as U-27 moved along the freighter's port side to meet the newcomer. Vanishing behind the steamship's hull, the submarine lost sight, while Herbert swung Baralong hard to starboard, mirroring Nicotian's course in silence. Before U-27 cleared Nicotian's bow, Baralong struck down the American colors, raised the white ensign of the Royal Navy, and threw open her concealed guns. As the submarine emerged from behind the freighter, Baralong unleashed a furious barrage from her 3 12-pounders at just 600 yards. 34 shells roared across the waves. U-27 shuddered, rolled, and slipped beneath the sea. As Tony Bridgeland recounts, Herbert roared, "Cease fire!" but his crew was beyond restraint. The rage of the Arabic and Lusitania burned in their veins. They kept firing even as U-27 survivors clambered onto her hull, stripping off their clothes in desperation. A violent hiss erupted from her tanks. The submarine lurched, then vanished into a churning cauldron of foam and thunderous bubbles. Within mere minutes, 34 shells had torn her apart, leaving only a dark shroud of smoke drifting over the sea. Meanwhile, from their lifeboats, Nicosian's crew erupted in wild cheers. Over the roar of the sea, Captain Manning's voice rang out, "If any of those bastard Huns surface, lads, smash 'em with an oar." 12 men survived the U-boat's death, those from her deck guns and conning tower. They thrashed through the wreckage toward Nicosian, clawing at the ship's dangling ladders and ropes. Herbert later told the Admiralty he feared they meant to scuttle the freighter, his justification for ordering small arms fire upon them. Between 4 and 6 Germans managed to haul themselves aboard. Some accounts say Wegener was shot while swimming toward Baralong. Others claim he reached the deck before being cut down. The Nicosian's master told Herbert that weapons were stored in the ship's chart room. Acting swiftly, Herbert dispatched 12 Royal Marines under Corporal Collins to hunt down the surviving Germans. As they left, he gave a chilling order: "Take no prisoners!" The Germans were found hiding in the engine room and were gunned down where they stood. Sub-Lieutenant Gordon Charles Steele later recalled, "Wegener fled into a cabin. I later learned it was Manning's bathroom. The Marines smashed down the door, but he slipped through a scuttle and dropped into the sea. With his life jacket on, he raised his hands in surrender. Corporal Collins took aim and shot him through the head." Collins later claimed that after Wegener's death, Herbert hurled a revolver at the corpse and shouted, "What about the Lusitania, you bastard?" The Admiralty would later offer a different version, alleging that the Germans aboard Nicosian were slain by her own engine room crew, according to a report from the officer commanding the muleteers. In his report to the Admiralty, Herbert claimed he feared the U-boat's survivors might reach the freighter and sink her, so he ordered his Royal Marines to open fire. Had the Nicosian been scuttled, Herbert could have faced charges of negligence. Only moments earlier, the submarine had been shelling the freighter, but whether the fleeing Germans truly meant to destroy her remains unknown. When Herbert's report reached the Admiralty, it was swiftly buried under orders of secrecy, yet the veil of censorship soon tore open. American passengers from Nicosian's lifeboats, having seen the carnage firsthand, told their stories to the press upon returning home. The German government lodged a formal memorandum on the affair, delivered through the American ambassador in Berlin on the 6th of December 1915. It named 6 U.S. citizens as witnesses, each having sworn before notaries in America to the truth of what they had seen. The depositions claim that 5 survivors from U-27 had climbed aboard Nicosian, while the rest were gunned down on Herbert's orders as they clung to her lifeboat lines. They further testified that before sending his Marines over, Herbert commanded, "Take no prisoners." 4 Germans were discovered hiding in the engine room and propeller shaft tunnel and were executed where they lay. Witnesses also swore that U-27's captain was shot dead as he tried to swim toward Baralong. The memorandum demanded that the captain and crew of Baralong be tried for the murder of unarmed German sailors, warning that Germany might be forced to take the serious decision of retribution for an unpunished crime. Sir Edward Grey, replying through the American ambassador, countered that the case belonged with 3 German atrocities committed within the same 48 hours: the sinking of SS Arabic, the assault on a stranded British submarine off neutral Denmark, and the attack on the crew of the Ruel after they had abandoned ship, and proposed a tribunal of U.S. naval officers to judge them all. Germany refused. On January 15, 1916, the Reichstag erupted in debate. German leaders denounced the affair as a cowardly murder and branded Gray's reply insolent and arrogant. The assembly declared that reprisals had been approved, though what form they would take remained ominously unstated. Meanwhile, the German Military Bureau for the Investigation of Violations of the Laws of War, or Militäruntersuchungsstelle für Verletzungen des Kriegsrechts, placed Baralong's mysterious commander, known only by the alias Captain William McBride, on the Prussian War Ministry's black list of Englishmen guilty of violating the laws of war against members of the German armed forces. Germany later struck a commemorative medal, an emblem of outrage and remembrance for the men of U-27. To shield her crew from possible reprisals, HMS Baralong was quietly renamed HMS Wyandra in October 1915 and sent to the Mediterranean. Her original name was erased from Lloyd's Register. By 1916, Wyandra had returned to the Ellerman and Bucknell line as Manica. The Nicosian, too, was reborn as Novician. Her crew handed new discharge books, her fateful voyage conspicuously erased. The crew of Baralong later received a 185-pound prize bounty, a cold official reward for the destruction of U-27. On the 24th of September 1915, Baralong struck again, sending the U-boat U-41 to the depths. Her commander, Lieutenant Commander Andrew Wilmot Smith, received the DSO. Engineer J.M. Dowie earned the DSC, and 2 crewmen were decorated with the Distinguished Service Medal. A 1,000-pound bounty accompanied the honors, and the prize court later granted Wilmot Smith an additional 170-pound reward for the kill. U-41 was shelling the SS Urbino when Baralong, having sailed from Falmouth the day before, appeared flying the American flag. Pretending to obey the submarine's orders, she maneuvered to within 700 yards, her guns quietly trained. Then she struck. Her starboard and aft guns roared, Marines joining in with rifle fire. Shells smashed into the conning tower, killing the captain and 6 of his men. More tore through the hull. U-41 listed, dove, then burst back to the surface before sinking for good. Only 2 Germans escaped, a wounded lieutenant and the helmsman. Baralong rescued them along with Urbino's crew before steaming back to Falmouth at dawn. When U-41 surfaced near Baralong, the Q ship allegedly unleashed her guns while still flying the American flag, cutting the submarine down beneath the waves. Unlike the first incident witnessed by neutral Americans, the second attack was seen only by those who fought it: British and German sailors. Oberleutnant Zur See Ewan Crompton later claimed, after his return from captivity, that Baralong had deliberately rammed his lifeboat. He leapt clear and was taken aboard soon after. The British crew denied the charge. In 1917, Crompton published U-41, Der Zweite Baralong Fall, describing the sinking as the second Baralong case. The incident was immortalized in a propaganda medal crafted by German engraver Karl Goetz, one of many such pieces that circulated widely across Germany between 1910 and 1940. In 1922 or 1923, Ellerman and Bucknell sold Monica to Kyokuto Koshi Goshi Kaisha of Japan, which renamed her Kyokuto Maru and registered her at Dairen in the Kwantung Territory. 2 years later, ownership passed to Harashoji KK, who rechristened her Shinsei Maru No. 1. In 1926, she changed hands once more to Shinsei Kisen Goshi Kaisha, remaining registered in Dairen under the code letters QBPJ. Shinsei Maru No. 1 met her end in Japan, scrapped in 1933 or 1934.